One of the absolutely most asked question that I get is, Kim, what do I say? What do I write? What do I communicate when it comes to my marketing? It is literally one of the areas that people are sometimes the most frustrated and the most scared of because they don't know what to say and they want to say the right things. So in this episode, we are going to take a deep dive into how you can write more effectively so you can communicate what it is that you would like to your audience. Come listen.
Welcome to the Behind Her Brand podcast with your host, Kimberly Spencer. Every week, join Kimberly and her guest for inspiring interviews with passionate business builders, corporate leaders, and catalysts of change. Plus, we will be sharing business and career building strategies and tools that you can use to grow. So let's dive into today's episode.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this because I get asked this question quite often. Kim, I don't know what to say. I don't know how I'm supposed to communicate my product and services in a way that is going to make someone reach out and call me. And this is an area which we call in business copywriting. And some people are very clear, Kim, I am not great at this area. This is not my area of expertise. So I want to outsource it. And I get it. Trust me. Writing something in a way that's compelling, engaging can be very intimidating. But what I want to encourage you to do is the exercises that we're going to do today, because here's the thing. There may be times where you may not be able to outsource it. And it is good for you to really look at what you want to communicate to that person that you're trying to draw into your blog, into your website, into your book, or whatever it is that you're writing. You want to be able to write in a way that you understand three key areas, because once you understand these three key areas, you'll find that you will be able to write more effectively. You'll find that you'll be thinking about that person on the other side that's going to be reading your information, and you're going to be able to write in a way that will be more engaging, but also more importantly, you'll be able to convey your messaging clearer. So I'm going to challenge you to ask yourself three questions, and we're going to deep dive into these three questions. First, what is it that you want that person reading your information to feel? Emotional connection is key. You want people to either feel intrigued, like they want to get to know more about what it is that you're presenting, or maybe if it's excitement. Maybe you want them to feel reflective, like, oh, let me think about this for a second. Never thought about that before. Whatever that feeling might be, think about what you want your reader to feel. Next, what is it that you really want them to know? Oftentimes in this particular area, what I find is people fire hose the reader. They give them so much information. It ends up overwhelming them to where they don't do anything. And there's a saying, a confused buyer does not buy. They keep going because they don't understand everything that you're trying to tell them, or they feel overwhelmed by everything you're trying to tell them. So really think through, what is the core of what I want them to know? And when you can really hone that in, then you can write specifically to what you want them to know. And the next thing is, what is it that I want them to do? And this is what you probably hear the terminology call to action. That's what this area is here. But here's the thing. This is the area that gives them instructions. And this is often the area that's left off of so much marketing copy. Or on the other side of it, this area is written too much in copy, where you're like, try it now, buy this, do it today. Like that real sense of car salesman kind of thing. And sometimes that can be a little bit, I would say it can cause someone to feel like, okay, all they care about is me signing up or doing this or doing that. It goes back to the first one I said, what do you want them to feel? You don't want them to feel like all you care about them is to become a customer. Because if they start feeling like they're a transaction, they're not going to do anything, right? So we're going to walk through each of these key areas because it's very important for you to always ask yourself those three areas. What I want them to feel, what is it that I want them to know, and what is it that I want them to do? And when you do this, it'll give you a really good blueprint on how to shape your messaging, to really look at what is you're conveying, and then you'll be able to see the engagement. You'll be able to see a better interactive uh, way with your content, and you'll also be able to hopefully see more responses to what it is you're putting out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to deep dive into the first one. What is it that you want them to feel? Okay. Now, whatever your emotion is, or I'm going to give you some examples, and I want you to think about, okay, maybe I can use this particular example that I'm giving you if this is what you want to convey. So if you want your reader to feel curious, if you want them to be intrigued, you might want to begin writing with a question like, did you know? Have you ever considered? Ask a question. Questions immediately create a sense of curiosity because they know that you're about to give them some information after that. So whenever you open up an email, a blog post, web page information, even in your book, did you know? Have you ever considered? Or any of those questions, or what would you do? Whenever you open up with a question, it immediately sets a tone of curiosity. Next, if you want them to feel like shaken awake, then begin with a statistic that grabs their attention. If you want them to be like, whoa, and we've seen those headlines, 10 out of 10 people fill in the blank, or 1 out of 15 fill in the blank. Whenever you start with something kind of startling, something that's like, oh my gosh, I never knew that. If you want to grab that initial feeling, then start with the stats, okay? If you want them to feel excited, then begin with like a compliment, a funny quote, or a song. People connect a lot musically. If you ever notice, whenever someone posts a song or throwback music, it immediately brings back a memory. It brings up like, oh my gosh, I remember um, what I was doing when I first heard that song. Or if they see the lyrics, all of a sudden they start connecting to the music again. So if you want them to feel that sense of nostalgia or delight or excitement or whatever that might be, then start with a quote, a song, or something funny, okay? If you want them to feel understood, if you want them to feel like, man, this person got me, open up with a personal story. Start immediately with something that would connect them. So as you can see from those examples, if you're wanting to connect, especially emotionally, because that's key. What do you want them to feel? Do you want them to feel focused? You want them to feel calm, understood, excited, relieved, moved, happy, sad, whatever it is you want them to feel. Look at how you're opening up that first line to what they're reading, because that's going to set the tone. Okay. When you want to set a tone, especially for emotional connection, open up either with a question, music, quote, a stat, or a personal story. Okay. Now, if you say, well, Kim, I don't know if this is going to be, my opening is going to be this type of emotion I'm connecting to. I get it. I understand. So what I'll challenge you to do is ask someone. Ask somebody who fits your audience. Like, when you read this, did you feel intrigued? When you read this, did you feel excited? When you read this, did you feel supported? Or did you feel like, man, they got me? Ask somebody. It's okay to do that. But consider what I mentioned to you and really think about the opening. That's important. Next, what is it that I want them to know? Now, this is key, okay? Here's the thing. As I mentioned earlier, you don't want to fire hose anybody. You don't want to overwhelm them. So do you want them to know that you are hosting a conference? Do you want them to know that you're starting a new podcast and that you're looking for people that you would interview? Or do you want them to know that you're starting a new book and you want them to be part of your focus group? What is it that you want to share with them? And one of the things that I've always done in my content, I keep it short and sweet. I bullet point. I make sure that they clearly see, okay, here are the 3 things that I'm looking for. Here are the things here are the areas that I'm asking for your support in, or for your feedback in, or whatever it might be. But I try to make it very concise, because when people see very concise information, especially when it's bulleted, highlighted, whatever it is that you want to do, it allows them to immediately zoom in to, okay, this is what they want me to know. And then they can make a decision from that point forward. The average human attention span is 8 seconds. So whenever you want someone to know what it is that you want to convey, keep it brief. Don't boggle it down with too many ideas together, or they won't remember too much of anything. Okay? And you don't want them to walk away thinking, what is it that I just read? What is it that they were asking me? Like, okay, I don't remember. You do not want that. Okay? So aim for one big key thing that you want to convey, and one big thing that you want to make sure that is in your copy, so that way they can remember, okay, so she's asking me for support. She's asking me to review her service. Oh, she has a new program. So she's asking me to review it to see if I would consider being in it. Just get right to the point, okay? And the last thing is, what do you want them to do? This is key, okay? Do you want them to try a new technique? Do you want them to try your service? Do you want them to make a donation? Do you want them to keep in mind for another project that you're doing? What is it that you want them to do? Register for an event, save the date, fill out a survey. Whatever it is, make it clear. Don't make them dig for it. Don't make them say, well, okay, I get what they're doing. I understand. I want to sign up, or I want to support, or, okay, what do I do now? If they're asking those kind of questions and it's not clear in your marketing, they will leave the page. They may not even reach out to you and say, hey, look, I read everything, love it, I'm excited for you. So that means that you accomplished the feel and the know, but then they're confused on the do. When you make them confused on the do, I promise you, it will literally cause them to walk away. And sometimes not walk away that they don't want to do anything, but they won't remember to do anything. Or it'll be one of those situations where you're like, well, I read everything. I don't get what they want me to do. Okay, I'll get back to it later. And we've all been there. We don't go back to it all the time, do we? So you don't want to cause your reader, cause that audience that you're trying to reach to do that. You want them to understand. So be clear in that. So those are the 3 key areas I want you to really examine when it comes to your marketing. What is it that you want them to feel? If you're not sure if your information is causing an emotional connection, have other people review it and ask them, what do you feel whenever you read this? What is it that you feel like I'm trying to convey? Think about what you want them to know and be very clear on what it is that you want them to know. Okay. And then lastly, be clear on what you want them to do. Sign up, send the information, make a donation, whatever it might be, but be very clear on what it is that you want them to do. So I hope this was helpful, a good exercise for you to really look at your copy on how to write something that's engaging, interactive, and more importantly, in a way that will get you some type of response, whether that's, hey, give me more information. Hey, I'm signing up. Hey, maybe it's not the right season for me to do X, Y, and Z. Marketing should generate a response. Okay. So thank you guys again for listening to another episode of our Behind Her Brand. For more information to learn about what we're doing, about our magazine, our podcast, our YouTube series, please visit us at www.behindherbrand.net.